here's a question for you. Who does more household chores, you or your partner? Well, check this out. A new app called Share the Load promises to help even the playing field. It allows two people to go in and enter the amount of time spent doing those various chores. It then calculates how evenly the household work is divided up and if it really is 50-50. So what do you all think of this new app? Do you think it will actually help couples or will it lead to more resentment? Erica's already blinking her eyes. What's going on, Erica?
That seems like a gigantic waste of time.
Okay.
I think there's a few things that you should sit down with your spouse and figure out, like finances is a big one, what your plans are going to be for this quarter, all of those things.
Quarter? Erica's always fiscal.
Yes.
Totally.
Super hot over here.
Quarters.
Fiscal.
Works for our house, okay?
But what about the daily? You're thinking in quarters. What about the daily?
I think the daily, you do what needs to be done according to who has the time to do it.
But
I think sometimes,
Erica, you're using logic, and that's the problem. I think a lot of people don't realize what needs to be done. Some people will let that laundry sit there, and that might drive you crazy. Some people will let leave the leftovers out, where you're like, well, why don't you put that in the refrigerator? So what if you have a partner? I think a lot of people might honestly, even if they're not being lazy, might not know what needs to be done, or something might not bother them. Where somebody else, it would drive them crazy to not go out and blow the leaves or something like that. Nice.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, you got facts?
I got facts.
Read some facts and I'll give you an opinion.
Like you have facts and then you didn't talk. You just stared at him.
Okay, go.
Well,
Okay,
you sure
sorry.
didn't. You let 4 seconds go.
You know where you can go? Okay. Women are more likely to spend double the amount of time than men caregiving, tackling chores, and doing housework. Women spent more time caring for children daily, and the difference between men and women spent on household activities was largest for Hispanic and Latino Americans. All of that is important. Might I take the other side here and suggest this is how this generation communicates? Through an app? Even though that's sad for us. That sounds so depressing to me, but perhaps that's the way they communicate.
I think that's going to, in my opinion, I think, first of all, thank you for reading those facts because it's true, and I do think that a lot of marriages, especially with young children, fail because one person, typically, predominantly based on the data, the female is carrying most of the load, or they are the default parent. So resentment does build. I understand that. I think, in my opinion, if you were to task it out rather than communicate, that gets really petty.
That's going to be a problem.
I think it's going to end up building even more resentment because then you are further not communicating.
Right.
What do you think, Jeff?
It's horrendous, just like the name. Yeah. This is bad.
Share the load.
Share the load is the worst name.
It's a rough one.
Daily Blast Live.
Our name grew on us. It grew on me.
Daily Blast Live is great. Share the load is not great. And I wonder if you could share Word documents on this, because I'd send my wife divorce papers if she sent me what she did during the day. This is just like a game to show what you did more. As soon as you started inputting that into the app, I'd be like, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to tell you everything that I do to support this family, and I don't need a pat on the back every time I do a good job at my job or at home. This is just a way to boast and stick it in your face, and it's for the lawyers to be like, see how much I do and see how much he does. I've inputted 71%. He only did the other.
I think in theory it is a really good thing. Again,
what theory?
I think what world?
In theory that clearly one person who is the default is going to build resentment. However, when I say in theory, that does not mean that it's going to produce the result that you want, because the underlying symptom here is a lack of communication.
How about communicate? How about you communicate?
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said.
But notice that
But this isn't a good theory. You said that in theory, this is good.
No.
Nowhere is this good.
In theory, they're hoping that they can bridge the gap between these two individuals and lessen the resentment. So in theory, I understand it, but I don't think it's going to produce.
You don't think it will?
In practice, it will not produce the result because it's going to further the lack of communication. So we're in agreement.
Yes. Okay.
I think it just shows AI's taken over the world.